right. I want to welcome everybody tonight to our Q&A session talking about improving sleep through nutrition and lifestyle. Hope you like the black background. I thought it was appropriate for going to sleep. So welcome. We're going to go ahead and jump right in. All right. So I do need to give the disclaimer that this is just intended for public health information only. I am not trying to treat anyone with a medical condition. You would get the same information if you were to go to Cleveland Clinic, if you were to go to your local community center or a health center that provides free public education. What I do want to share a little bit is that we're Christians here. We all understand and know Genesis 2:2 that on the seventh day, God rested after he had finished all of his work. And so my question to each of us, myself included, is why do we not rest? Is it because we're too busy? Is it because maybe our nutrition isn't what it should be? I think it's probably that we're self-sabotaging, that we think we're doing the right things, but maybe in actuality, we're not. And so let's just spend a little bit time tonight talking about sleep. Did you actually know that there are five large groups that study sleep? Sleep is so important in the medical field that we have the National Institute of Health that studies sleep. There is actually the American Academy of Sleep Medicine, and they have an international chapter as well. We have the Sleep Foundation, the National Sleep Foundation, and then we have the World Sleep Society for Medical Professionals. This is how important sleep is to healing. And according to the National Institute of Health, 1 in 3 Americans are not achieving the recommended nightly amount of sleep. So this is a serious and chronic condition within the United States, but also globally. And so I just wanted to take a little bit of time tonight, first of all, to talk about some of the myths associated with sleep. So our agenda, here we go. We're going to talk about the effects of sleep on the body, and then nutrition and lifestyle. So some myths versus facts surrounding sleep. And this all comes from the National Institute, the National Department of Health and Human Services, rather. Myth 1, that as we age, we actually don't need as much sleep. That's a myth. According to the National Institute of Health, adults and senior adults still need between 7 and 9 hours of sleep every night. Myth number 2, that we are able to catch up on missed sleep. We've all said that, right? Like, we're busy, we stay up late. If we're college students, we're cramming for exams. If we're a little bit older and out of school, we're busy and we don't get the sleep we need, and we say, oh, I'll just catch up with it. And while we can kind of catch up on sleep, if we have one bad night's sleep, we could take a nap the next day, and typically we rebound from that. But if people suffer from chronically poor sleep, we are unable to catch up on that sleep. Research has shown that individuals that will have higher rates of obesity, will run the risk of developing type 2 diabetes, inflammation, heart disease, and additional chronic illnesses because we are unable to catch up on missed sleep. And myth number 3, sleep is a time when the body is at rest. That is also a myth. During sleep, the body is actively engaged in multiple processes. During sleep, our brain learns, our brain remembers, it creates, and it filters. And actually, during sleep, our brain filters proteins that are linked to Alzheimer's disease. In addition to that, our body repairs blood vessels, cells, and improves our overall immune health. So these are all three myths. The body is very active and engaged while we're sleeping. And in addition, we all need 7 to 9 hours of sleep, and we cannot catch up on missed sleep. So a good night's sleep includes each of these: the amount, again, 7 to 9 hours; quality, if I'm constantly waking up to use the bathroom; if I'm too hot or I'm too cold; if there's a noise that I'm unable to get to that good deep sleep, I'm not going to have a good quality of sleep. And if my sleep schedule is constantly being interrupted, for example, if I go to bed one night at 9 o'clock, and then I go to bed at midnight, and then I go to bed at 7, and then I go to bed at 10, I'm not on a good sleep schedule. That will affect my quality of sleep as well. Anybody that knows me knows come 9 o'clock, Pauline is in bed. I get cranky when it is past 9:30 and I am not in bed yet. I am a cranky individual. My body has been on this sleep schedule for a very long time. In fact, I couldn't tell you when I haven't. Now, I used to work night shift, and that really screwed up my whole body. I was sick the whole time I was on night shift because I'm a 9 o'clock to bed kind of a girl. So sleep schedules are very important. The effects of sleep on the brain. Now, this is according to the University of Rochester, that the brain removes toxins much like our kidneys do while we are sleeping. So during our sleep cycle, when our body is at rest and our brain is actively filtering out proteins, it's working how our kidneys work to filter out toxins as well. These are the effects of poor sleep. So we know that our body heals from the inside out. We heal first with our relationship with God, and then our mental health, and then our physical health. Sleep, or the lack of sleep, will affect all three systems of the body. So when I am not getting good quality or quantity of sleep, that will affect my time with God. I'm going to wake up and I'm not going to be refreshed. So there may go my morning devotion time. You know, we find that that's one of the first things that people give up when they wake up and they're not well rested. Oh, well, I'll get into God's word later. Right now, I'm running late. I'm not awake yet. I don't have time. We create excuses not to be in God's word. We also see that with poor quality of sleep, that people are less able to recognize attacks from the enemy. It's a lot easier to believe the lies of the devil when I'm not at my peak mental thinking. We know that poor quality of sleep affects the systems of the body. We see increased inflammation, low energy, agitation. We see a decrease in overall immune health. We had a greater risk for coronary heart disease. We see a decrease in our memory. We see an increase with anxiety and with depression. And when we have an increase in anxiety and depression, then that affects our self-image. That may affect my relationship or my walk with God. It's going to affect my overall thinking and self-esteem, which then affects my food choices. So it's a cascade of negative outcomes. So let's go ahead and take a minute just to compare good sleep versus poor quantity or poor quality of sleep. When we have a good night's sleep, on a consistent basis. We see an improvement in decision making. Student scores go up on their test scores. Adults have a higher or a better performance at their jobs. We see an improvement in weight management. We see that our moods are more balanced, and we tend to have a reduced amount of stress or anxiety. We see an improvement in memory. We see an improvement in our body's ability to heal, reduced inflammation, and reduced metabolic stressors. Now, on the flip side of that, with poor quantity or poor quality, we're at an increased risk for many chronic illnesses. We also see that we're at an increased risk for dementia because, again, the brain is not filtering out the proteins that are linked to dementia or Alzheimer's. We see an impairment in judgment, and we see that reduced ability for the body to repair and regenerate cells. So nutrition and lifestyle. This is the part that I get really excited about, because this is how we can begin to help ourselves improve our sleep and then begin to improve our overall health. So according to the National Sleep Foundation, eating at the same time each day will improve quantity and quality of sleep. So just by eating at consistent times each day, we are able to begin to improve quantity and quality of sleep. Currently, only 59% of Americans are consistently eating all of their meals around the same time. So that means breakfast, lunch, and dinner, meaning that 4 out of 10 people are able to improve their sleep simply because they're eating consistent meal times. I'd like to flip that and say that there are 6 out of 10 people that are able to do that, but unfortunately we're at 4 out of 10. But we all can change that statistic by just working at improving our meal schedule. Maybe I started eating breakfast consistently every day and do that for a month. And then I add in the next meal and so on. And maybe it takes a little longer. As long as we're consistently working to reach that goal, we will eventually get there. All right, so now we want to talk about high quality diets and why they're important to sleep. Complex carbohydrates help us to feel full longer, so they're going to help us to be able to get through the night without being hungry. They also have been found to increase the deep sleep, where the REM cycle is, where this true ability to get into the sleep pattern that we need to be so that our body and our brains can begin to repair and filter. Refined processed sugars, so things that are made from white flour or white sugar, these simple carbohydrates, they are associated with light sleep, meaning that our body isn't able to get down into that good deep sleep cycle where we can begin to heal and regenerate. So a diet that is low or too high in protein, so either I'm eating not enough protein or I'm eating too much, these high protein paleo diets have been shown also to increase poor sleep quality or efficacy. And all that means is that if I go to bed and I'm anticipating 8 hours of sleep, but I'm only actually getting 5 hours of sleep, I have low sleep efficacy. I'm not getting the 8 hours of sleep anticipated. Adequate protein intake is approximately 25 to 30% of our daily caloric intake. Now, there are some people who make it more of 70% of their daily intake, and that's way too high, and it will affect their quality of sleep. And so we want to pull back on that. Again, between 25 and 30% of our calories should be coming from proteins. The amino acid tryptophan. We're approaching Thanksgiving, and it's the joke all the time. Everybody is so tired after Thanksgiving dinner, and they blame it on the turkey. Well, there is truth to that. The turkey contains the amino acid tryptophan, which helps to promote sleep. But there are also other proteins that are really high in tryptophan. And if you're like myself and you don't eat a lot of animal products, we can still get it from great plant-based proteins as well. In addition, melatonin is a hormone in the brain that helps us to feel sleepy and to sleep better, to fall asleep easier, and has been shown to improve our quality of sleep. God put melatonin into many rich foods. You'll notice that we have all of the food groups covered. So God put melatonin in all of the food groups and various types of food. So we see it in fruits and vegetables and grains. We see it in proteins. We also see it in teas and in ginger. I'm looking for my fats here. Lentils have a little bit of fat. Brown rice has a little bit of fat to it. Eggs have cholesterol. Fish has a little bit of great healthy fat as well. Phytonutrients. And if you want to go ahead and take a screenshot of this, you are absolutely welcome to do that, because I know that this list is not one that you're probably going to think of off the top of your head. But again, it shows the diversity of God in how he created various foods to help us obtain great quality and quantity of sleep. These are all naturally occurring compounds that are found in plants, and they each have numerous different health benefits. So for example, I'm looking at apples at the top under flavonoids. Apples also contain pectin. They're a great source of fiber. They also contain polyphenols, which are an antioxidant, and berries are antioxidants. I look down at flaxseed, which is rich in omega-3. Sesame seeds are a rich source of vitamin E. And so each of these contain multiple nutritious compounds that we need. Lifestyle. Our lifestyle plays an important role in sleep. You know, in Luke 5:16, Jesus would often withdraw from the crowds of people and go to solitary places and pray as a time of rest. We see in Mark 6:31 that after the disciples had come back and were telling Jesus everything that they had been doing, Jesus recognized that so many people were still coming to them, and they just were so bombarded with people's needs that they didn't even have a chance to eat. So Jesus said to his disciples, "Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place to get some rest." So we see in Genesis 2:2 that after God created the whole world, created everything, that he rested. God took a rest on the seventh day. He called it holy because he rested. And now we see in the New Testament that Jesus separates himself for rest. He noticed his disciples needed to get away and rest, so he pulled them aside to rest. Excuse me. And we need to help each other. We need to hold one another accountable to make sure that we're getting that rest that we need. When we see a friend who is just overwhelmed and not getting enough sleep, not getting adequate rest, with love, we need to remind her, hey, maybe you need to practice a little bit of self-care and work on getting enough sleep. Outdoors. This is really fascinating that each one of these increase our quality and quantity of sleep just by being outside. When we're outside for just 1 hour every day, even if we're just sitting outside, just sitting, getting that rich vitamin D from the sun, breathing in the fresh air, watching nature and life around us. We don't even have to be exercising, but just sitting outside on a park bench. Now we add exercising into it. Exercising increases the dilation of the lungs. We're taking in more oxygen. That's going to help us to sleep as well. Outdoor fresh air also increases our clarity and alertness. Now, I don't know about you, I live here in Port St. Lucie, and while I'm outside walking, I am definitely alert because of the crazy drivers we have down here. And so it's important to me that I am definitely alert with great clarity while walking outside. But it also does help to improve our sleep. So I like to say focus on the 4 Ps: prioritize, prepare, personalize, and be persistent. Great quality sleep and great quantity sleep doesn't happen overnight. We have to work at it. So pick 1 P and just progress until you have them all mastered. So prioritize. Treat sleep as if you're giving yourself a prescription for physical therapy. Make it a priority. Set evening boundaries. I do not answer my work phone after 6 p.m. at night because that is a boundary that I have set for myself to begin to start winding down for the end of the day. And then invest in yourself. Invest in good pajamas, good underclothes, good bedding. So maybe we need to refresh the pillow. I say try and buy new pillows once a year, once every other year, because they do tend to get flat. They hold bacteria. Replace the bed pillows. Our face is right there. We're breathing in all of that dander and dead skin. Even though we change our pillowcases, it's still there. Invest in good sheets. Either, up in Michigan, we had great soft fleece sheets that we put on the bed in the winter that, you'd slide into and the toes would just curl at the bottom because they just felt so good. And here I like nice cold sheets for the same reason. So invest, prioritize. Prioritize by investing in yourself, investing in your bedroom. Prepare. Begin reducing the stimulation around you about 2 to 3 hours before going to bed. Instead of having the bright overhead lights on in the house, go to softer white light or yellow light in your lamps. So you're beginning to bring down the level of brightness. Before going to bed, don't watch movies that are horror films or car chases that are really stimulating, that are going to get you worked up. Avoid caffeine, avoid stimulating foods that are spicy, avoid alcohol before bed. Anything that's going to stimulate the body, you want to avoid. Electronics, begin to reduce electronic use as well. And do not take work to bed. Set boundaries on your work. And really, if I were to recommend any one thing to make your first priority, it would be work boundaries. Because work so easily filtrates into all of the areas of our life. We eat at our desk. If we work from home, we're often at our desk far more than we would be if we were in an office. And we tend to take work into the bedroom or into the evenings. So my first recommendation would be really begin to set those work boundaries for yourself. And then personalize by making sure you take a nice shower before you go to bed, either a warm shower or a cold shower, and use some great body soaps that you love the smell of that are just yours. They're not for the whole family, but they're just special for you. Again, make sure you have some great pajamas. Excuse me, I got a dry throat tonight. Sleep noise. And we'll talk about that in just a few minutes, but sleep noise is important. Sleeping with a fan on or the sound of water running. People use sleep apps. Fabrics, making sure we understand that our largest organ, the largest organ of our body is our skin. So what touches our skin will affect our sleep. If my clothes or my bed sheets are rough and scratchy and they're up against my face, I'm probably not going to sleep really well. Versus a fabric that is soft and warm and cuddly, or smooth and silky and cool. Now I'm going to begin to feel better as this fabric touches my skin. Do you sleep better with the window open or closed? You know, if you're single, you get to sleep however you want to. For those of us who are married, it's a bit of a negotiation. We sleep with the fan on because that's what my Prince Charming likes, but I like the window open. And so it's a battle. It's a negotiation. What works for you to fall asleep may not be the same thing that works for your partner or works for your children or your best friend. We're all very individualized. And then be persistent. Keep at it. Again, this is a journey, taking it one step at a time. We as adults have forgotten how to pamper and prepare ourselves for bed. A lot of us watching our moms or grandmas, and we're really good at getting our kiddos ready for bed. You know, think about it. I would put Jake in the bathtub and give him a nice bath and relax him. I put lavender in the water, read stories, dry him off in big, soft, fluffy, terry cloth towels and bundle him up, put him in those little footy jammies in the winter that were just so cute. And you just want to scoop them up, right? And then you wrap them in blankets and you read bedtime stories. And we really, as moms and grandmas, we're really good at getting the kiddos ready for bed. But we don't do half of that for ourselves. So keep at it. Keep at it. Treat yourself like you would treat your children. It takes time to change old habits, and it takes time for these new habits to kick in and to become a habit. You know, they say the rule of thumb for changing an old habit is roughly 6 weeks. I say it depends on how long it's been a habit. You know, if it's been a habit for a lifetime, it's going to probably take longer than 6 weeks. So give yourself grace. I'm 55. If I try to change a habit that I've had for a lifetime, for example, how I tie my shoes, it's going to take me more than 6 weeks to change how I tie my shoes because I've always tied my shoes the same way. It's a lifetime habit. And then remembering that adhering to boundaries sometimes means we just have to keep at it, keep sticking at it. Avoid napping during the day because that can affect our ability to sleep longer at night. Pink noise. All right, I said we were going to talk a little bit about noise, and there are actually different colors to noise. Pink noise helps us to fall asleep faster, achieve a deeper, improved sleep sooner, helps us to relax. And as you read through the list here, I'm going to tell you what examples of pink noise are. Rain is an example of pink noise. Waterfall, wind, rivers, and ocean waves. So the sounds of nature, the sounds that God created. Go figure that that's the best noise color, right? God made pink noise, and pink noise is the best to produce overall quality and quantity of sleep. Again, that's rain, waterfalls, wind, rivers, and ocean waves. Those are all pink noise. Now we do have white noise, brown or red noise, blue noise, and gray noise. An example of white noise would be a radio, a television, for some people, a vacuum cleaner. I don't know, that would make my teeth on edge. A fan, and an air conditioning unit. Like I said, we sleep with the fan on. White noise is probably more common than I would say even pink noise, even though pink noise has the best overall outcomes. Brown and red noise would be a waterfall, heavy rain, or thunder. And I believe the difference between the brown or red noise and pink noise is that thunder can be jarring. The sounds of thunder could jar us awake, or heavy rain could wake us up. Blue noise, listen to this one. Okay, I think this is kind of funny. Blue noise is the hiss of a garden hose. Some people like to fall asleep to the hiss of a garden hose, or an open faucet. So somebody's left the bathroom sink on, and some people enjoy falling asleep to that sound. If it works for you, that's what we need to remember. When to seek help. When you're having difficulty breathing, it could be that one has sleep apnea, so reach out to your doctor. If you've discovered that you have insomnia for more than 3 weeks, definitely seek out medical care. Difficulty waking up, again, you want to seek medical care. And if you're sleeping but waking up with impaired decision making, these are all times to seek out medical care. To wrap up our conversation about sleep before we hop over to Q&A time, the Mediterranean lifestyle or the Mediterranean diet is the most inclusive of all the types of food and the lifestyle that promotes great quantity and quality of sleep. So learning to adapt some of the Mediterranean diet habits would be a great place to maybe think about beginning. As we reduce saturated fats and ultra-processed foods, we should begin to notice an improvement as well. I'm going to take a quick moment to talk about fats in general and saturated fats more pointedly. It takes the body on average 6 to 8 hours to break down fat in the digestive system. So we want to have our dinners to be lighter meals and have our heavier meals earlier in the day. So for example, a dinner that would be something like a piece of fish with a salad and a baked potato, maybe some other veggies, that would be considered a light dinner versus having a small steak with a baked potato with sour cream and butter and a heavy roll with butter and maybe having some caramelized onions and peppers that had been caramelized in bacon grease. That would be a very heavy, saturated fat meal. We want to go for the lighter meals. Try to stop eating 3 hours before going to bed. Again, it allows the body that opportunity to begin breaking down the digestion of the food. Weight loss, if we need to lose weight, we want to work on that gradually. We say slow and steady, not quick and in a hurry. Quick and in a hurry weight loss is not sustainable. Slow and steady, we're more likely to keep it off. Remember, let's get outside and get some of that great fresh air and move more. Moving more could simply mean parking further in the parking lot at the stores so that we're walking further to get into the store. Doesn't mean parking all the way at the back of the parking lot because maybe you're not there yet. Maybe you park halfway in the parking lot. You know what it looks like to increase your movements? Taking a flight of steps and then taking the elevator is another way to increase movement. So moving more. Remember foods that are rich in antioxidants, polyphenols, or omega-3s and 6s, great fibers or complex carbohydrates. They're all rich in fiber. Those are fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. These are all foods that God created. They all improve our quantity and our quality of sleep. Diets that are rich in saturated fats, ultra processed, meaning those Takis, Doritos, Little Debbie snack cakes. When we eat too many of those will begin to encourage poor quality and quantity of sleep. Genesis 2:3 tells us, then God blessed the seventh day. He made it holy. He called it the Sabbath because on that day, he rested from all of the creating that he had done. Again, if God takes the day of rest, let's take a note from the guidebook. Let's work on our rest as well. Some other great resources, again, if you want to snag a screenshot of this, go ahead. They have some fabulous resources if you go to these websites on sleep. Very easy to follow, very easy to understand. They're geared towards just the everyday person and just some fantastic information to help encourage good sleep habits. December connecting points, the value of exercise in reducing stress, not talking about preparing for a marathon, just the value of exercise. And then finding grace for the holidays. Christmas, Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. We have 4 big holidays where food is a part of coming up in December that we want to go ahead and take a peek at and understand that food is fluid. What we eat is fluid. We want to aim for portion control. But on holidays, do we pass up grandma's famous pumpkin pie? Oh no, we eat that pumpkin pie. Maybe we don't eat a quarter of the pumpkin pie. And so talking about having grace for the holidays, I think that's going to be a fun connecting point. Again, if you want to have your own private devotional time with me and you're in the Port St. Lucie area, you have a group of ladies that want to get together, go ahead and reach out to me privately, and we can talk about making that happen for you and your friends. Stay connected. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and through the website. There's more than one way to meet up with me, and many of them are complimentary. I try to give as much information out there to everybody as I can, free of charge. We're all part of the same family in the same body. I just happen to have a great ability to speak and a love for food. So I want to share what I got.